So I saw this post online not so long ago, and the basic gist of it was Disney was great at diversity when it wasn't so hell bent on doing so. And I couldn't agree more, because a good portion of us have memories filled with characters from different backgrounds who inspired us and will stick with us for the remainder of our lives, which are in sharp contrast with the preachy, pandering stuff we get on the regular nowadays. And this brings me sharply to The Acolyte. Now, before even going into this show, we had the privilege of hearing from the actors and showrunners, and man,
I was very excited to kind of be that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal. So
You're telling me with a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple.
so needless to say, if I were to take them at their word, I wasn't looking forward to anything they had to put out. And if anything they've produced in the not so distant past was anything to go by, I wasn't so hopeful either. But my lowest expectations couldn't have prepared me for what I've witnessed. The show starts out as a sort of murder mystery. Someone is hunting down and killing Jedi, and someone else takes the fall for it. This concept by itself is very interesting, because it would put our protagonists in a position where they have to use their resourcefulness and wit in order to escape and clear their name, in the process giving us a thrilling and exciting adventure. But if you're looking for that, then you're looking for a different show altogether, because this was subverted in the very first episode. Later on, the assassin attempts on another Jedi Master, which proves to be very easy given the nature of the security of the temple, and that this master offs himself because he feels guilty of some past misdeed. It's all surrounded in mystery, which is later subverted because we learn in the following episode that the man was more of a victim than anything else. In this episode, we are supposed to see the negative side of the Jedi, but all I got to see was the Jedi acting within their right and trying to be extremely reasonable with the coven of evil space witches, who go out of their way to provoke and court violence from the Jedi, and ultimately it is the evil twin that ends them by setting aflame the stone structure. Back in present time, the Jedi go on some hike in some jungle world looking for the Wookiee because he's the next target. And this episode is only 30 minutes long, but it feels a hell lot longer because it's mostly uneventful. What does happen is evil twin sister decides she's no longer evil and now all of a sudden trusts the Jedi and backstabs her companion. We then find the Wookiee Jedi has already been assassinated. This leads into the only positive of this show, is that the combat is not entirely so suckish, but we have no substance as regard to the relationship with the characters. They're basically a bunch of red shirt Jedi just being killed off, and they don't behave like they're masters or knights. They're just being killed off, and our lack of an emotional connection to these people makes us feel nothing as they are being slaughtered. Now, because of all this, evil twin sister is evil again. She knocks out good twin sister, then switches places with her and leaves her there. She basically leaves her there to die, because think about this. She leaves her only sister on some remote planet surrounded by Jedi corpses, in a forest filled with man-eating giant bugs. If she loves her sister, I'm not seeing it. She meets up with Soul, who for some reason has lost the ability to sense if people are who they say they are. Evil dude survives. He takes good twin sister, but somehow he has the exclusively Jedi ability of Force Heal. At this point, they go completely off the rails with the character motivations, because for the life of me, I haven't the faintest idea what they are. Because we have good twin sister here who has the upper hand on the man who the night before just killed people she was acquainted with and built a sort of bond with. We can only assume because of the bad writing. But she has the upper hand on this guy, and all the guy has to do is flash her. Now they're having brunch. Now evil twin sister wants to kill Soul, then doesn't want to kill Soul, then wants to kill Soul again until Soul knocks her out. The worst perpetrator of all this is this damn pronoun beaver. Whose side is this rat actually on? We're then given a rehash of episode 3, from a different point of view of course, but with so little substance. All we do get to see is just how incompetent these Jedi were, cause how did they not scan for civilizations while they were in orbit? And even on the planet's surface, how did they not see the massive witch complex on top of the mountain? I can't go about talking about Jedi incompetence without talking about Torben. Jedi are supposed to be detached from the material world, yet this guy missed comfortable Coruscant so much. He was willing to jeopardize the entire mission just to go home. His psyche was torn apart in seconds because he was so weak-willed. How did this guy get to be a Jedi Master? He was floating around for 10 years, meaning he got from Padawan to Knight to Master in 6 years? Man, the bar for Jedi Masters back then must have been really low. Now we have the Space Witches. Why do they hate and or fear the Jedi? In these 2 backstory episodes, we're not given any context to why that is. It is heavily implied that we need to mistrust the Jedi and take the witch's side. How do we do that without any context? Even the witch's leader admits that the Jedi's noble intentions will one day destroy them. Just by saying that undermines this hatred/fear. But we're supposed to take their side and distrust the Jedi who we've known to be good for the longest. I don't know how that works. That doesn't make any sense. And everything the witches do only seals their fate. Like, why do you turn into some smoke monster? That doesn't de-escalate the situation. And everything that follows is a result of every action the witches take. But moving on, evil twin manages to escape Soul, aided by pronoun beaver. She crash lands on the planet. First it was lightsabers that weren't fatal, now crashing a ship is not fatal. Good twin has a vision. Now she carpools with the bad guy that killed all her friends, and they go back to the planet where it all started. It's like poetry.
Hopefully it'll work.
Then we get this needless scene about some senator who hates the Jedi, and he's like, he doesn't trust them. One of them might lose control one day, and who will stop them? I don't know. How about the other 10,000 Jedi they have? I mean, come on. We then get our final showdown. Soul fights the bad guy while the 2 sisters settle their differences with their fists. That sounded way better in my head. The problem with these fights is they're lacking a lot of substance to them. I don't even know why the sisters are fighting. Soul comes out on top in his battle, but evil twin interferes and steals Soul's lightsaber. Why the heck would he do that? The guy tried to kill her just a few episodes prior. Then Soul confesses to killing their mother, and good twin sister walks in and hears the whole thing, and she force chokes Soul. She doesn't hear his side. He doesn't ask for an explanation. Soul doesn't attempt to make any explanation. It's like His side of the story was completely rational. What transpired that night was largely the witch's fault. And I kind of feel like it's less that the writers were stupid, but they think we're stupid. Apparently, this was supposed to mirror the scene from Return of the Jedi. You know, the big Vader and Luke fight in the throne room. Now, let's think about that for a moment. In Return of the Jedi, we had some substance to work with, because this was a combination of the boy from New Hope, the one who had no clue who his father was, then found out that his father was part of the Jedi. Later on, learned that his father was one of the worst people in the galaxy, and felt sort of betrayed by Yoda and Obi-Wan. All these emotions could have overcome him and caused his fall to the dark side. But no, he chose to see Anakin inside Vader. He chose to die with his principles. He chose to die a Jedi. Let's contrast that with what we got. There are plenty of stuff to pick apart here, with the brain-dead conclusion and the mangling of the lore. But rather, let's focus on the root of the problem, and that is DEI character development. The problem with DEI characters is you're expected to love them because of who they are and never what they do. Just look at the witches. They're clearly drawing from the darker side of the thread, and the whole situation would have gone a lot smoother if they acted a little bit rationally. And now we have these three. Two non-repentant mass murderers and a protagonist who does nothing for the entirety of the show, but when the chips are down and she's supposed to make a choice, she makes the absolute worst one, and we're still expected to side with her. What this line of writing fails to acknowledge is we're all motivated by the same things: love, fear, ambition, and if you can communicate these basic human themes, it doesn't matter who the protagonist is, the people will form a connection with that protagonist. But until you do that, you'll still be rejected by
the power of